Welcome back to Good Better Broker as we bring in Ryan Proffitt. He is a mortgage broker with Future Home Loans based in Jacksonville, Florida. Ryan, great to have you here.
Awesome. Glad to be here and loving the snow so far.
Yeah, perfect weather for a Florida guy. Yeah. And a bit about you for our listeners. You've been in the business since 2003 and at Future Home Loans since 2019. And Ryan, in your career, you have done over $5 billion in loan volume. So certainly you've had a lot of success. And I want to ask you about the sales activities that you have stuck to during your career. So before we talk about the present and the future, let's look back and tell us what in your mind have been the most successful sales activities throughout your career as a mortgage loan originator.
Awesome. Well, I look at myself not as like a mortgage person. I look at myself as like a people person. So when I go out, I try to take the approach that I just want to go meet a bunch of people. So early on, I realized the easiest way to meet people was to go to open houses. So I've been hammering open houses. So I show up, meet the realtors that are there, talk to them, meet the customers that come in, because it's going to be a great place to meet people, and that's what I'm in, the people business.
So it's interesting because, you know, when you and I talked before the interview, so much of what you went over was pounding the pavement. And, you know, you are all over the place. I mean, people need to, you know, look at your social media to get a taste of what it's like. But I want you to tell our listeners, you know, what a typical day can look like for you and all the different places you are going to basically advance your business.
You got to. I mean, if you're not out there pounding the pavement, then you're not going to be being succeeding in this industry, because it's tough. You know, it's been tough the last couple of years in the market. It's getting a little easier now with the rates coming down a little bit, but it's a busy day. So I put everything on the calendar. So I wake up early, 5:30 in the morning. I got to hit that gym, get that fresh sweat going on. That gets my mind right, and like your boy Mateen says, get your grind tight. So I get that going, and then right after that, it's just calendar. You know, I do some time blocking in the morning. I do a lot of prospecting in our business. If you're not prospecting every day, I feel like you're not taking a shower. You know what I mean? So like every day you got to do some prospecting. So I do a lot of time blocking in the morning for prospecting. Then I do a lot of follow-up. I mean, follow up. That's what it's all about in our business. And you just got to be out there moving around and try to put everything you can on your calendar. I meet with a lot of people and they say, you know, let me see your calendar. So I'll show them my calendar. And if your calendar's not full, then what are you actually doing, right? So you want to try to fill that calendar up with as much stuff as you can. They're like, well, how are you going to be in 3 places at one time? Well, you know what? You're going to try, because things will happen. Somebody will be late. Somebody will cancel. Somebody will change. Something will come up. And if it's important to you, you'll get through it all.
Yeah, you mentioned that you overschedule yourself, but that is very much by design because, like you said, things do come up. People are going to have to cancel. So for you, it's all about making sure that you're maximizing every single day.
That's it. Every single day, even with my kids, you know, getting all their stuff. I have them now. My daughter, she's 14. I have her putting stuff on my calendar now and sending me emails and Google invites. And she's like, Dad, I got basketball practice here. And then my other daughter, I got soccer game here. And I'm like, you got to put it all on the calendar. And then we got closings. I put them on the calendar. We go to all the closings. We got realtor coffees. We got luncheons. We got networking events. We do a lot of CE training classes. Like I said, we're in the people business. So if you're sitting behind your computer and you're working, that's great, but that's not how you need to do this business.
Yeah, it's a great point. I want to ask you more about that because, you know, if there is somebody listening to this who is hesitant to get out there as much as you are, and they're maybe sitting behind their desk and waiting for it to come to them, you know, what would you say to them to encourage them to get out there and really go out and meet with more people?
Yeah, I just live it every day. You got to suit up, you got to show up, and you got to follow up, right? So the first thing is just to get out and do it. I mean, you might be uncomfortable the first time you go do a couple things and go to a couple of realtor events or walk into an open house or go to a couple of other socials that you have. But and there's always time where you like, I'll sit there and I'm like, man, it's been a long day. I'm tired. I just want to go home. I'm like, nope, we got this thing. Let's just go do it. And I'll show up. And the next thing you know, boom, boom, boom. And then it just starts falling. Because you never know where that next opportunity is going to come from. So I take the approach like I have to be doing it every day because I never know when my phone's going to ring, right? And that fear of like my phone's not going to ring and I'm not going to do another deal. So I got to get out there and make it happen.
You mentioned it, so I have to ask you, the suit up, show up, follow up. It's something of a brand for you now. It's a hashtag on your social media. Yeah. Do people in your market know you from that brand?
They do. Yeah, it's funny. They do. So that I show up, and sometimes I show up and I'm not wearing a suit. They're like, "Where's the suit?" So I get called out for that. But yeah, so it's kind of like the brand that you created for yourself, and they know that that if they see me and it's going to be an event, then I'm going to be suiting up. So they always want to see what kind of suit I have, which is good because my suit guy, he's loving it because he's making a killing. And actually should have probably gotten the suit business because I gave him like 15 referrals now on all the suits he's getting from me showing up. But then you got to follow up as well with them also. So not just showing up to the events and not going to the items and stuff that you have, but you got to make sure you follow with them.
We're going to talk more about the follow-up game in just a little bit, but I want to ask you more about the sales activities over the last couple of years in particular, because we talked about it off the top of the conversation. You've been in this industry 20 years, but the last 2 years, 22 and 23, what a wild ride it has been. So looking back over those years, Ryan, what has worked well for you in particular?
A lot of social media. I mean, to be honest with you, we got to adapt to social media. So we've been doing a lot of videos. We got our CRM that we use, so we send out weekly updates. And you would think that people wouldn't like that stuff, but people love it. And they're like, we skip 1 week for the holidays. Like, where's the video? So it's like social media has been great. It's been an awesome sales activity that we've been doing to get the attention of people and stay top of mind as well. And then just the old school, man, picking up the phone. Like, I pick up the phone, and if I haven't hit 70 calls on my phone for a day, I look down and I'm like, have I even worked today? So just picking up the phone and calling people, having a conversation with them, calling all the realtors you got, calling your listing agents, calling all your past clients. Just go through your phone and just call someone. If you haven't talked to them in a while, just call them, man. You'll be surprised at how much stuff happens just by picking up the phone.
I want to make sure I heard you correctly. That's 70, not 17 calls?
70, yes, 70, 70. 70.
I mean, there are probably some people listening to this in a full transparency who are saying to themselves, how does this guy do it? I mean, has he cloned himself? Does he have another Ryan Proffitt who's out there, meeting with the realtors, going to coffee, going to closings while he's doing the calls and the other things? Like, what do you say to that? Because I know that a big part of the way you approach your business is, it means that much to you. And like you said, when we talked before the interview, sometimes it just means more to other people.
Yeah.
Is that the situation with you?
I think so. And I get that question a lot because, if, like you mentioned earlier, if you follow me on social media, you see I'm here. And I get a lot of people saying, you're making me exhausted just watching you on social media, but I just have a different gear. I just want it more than what the next person wants. Ishbia talked earlier that, Kevin Durant's in there an hour before practice starts, right? And he's already full sweat, ready to go. And that's the kind of mentality you have to have. So I think that I just, don't watch any TV. I don't have Netflix. I don't watch any shows. So you got to cut out that kind of stuff that takes your time away from you. I don't listen to the radio at all because when I'm in the car, I'm on the phone making outbound calls.
You and I were on the phone while you were in the car.
Talking to people. So there's just things you can kind of look at it and cut out and then make it happen.
So tell me, are you wired that way, or is this something that you picked up when you got into this business and realized this is what it's going to take for me to be successful?
That's a great question. I mean, when I went in for my job interview, right when I graduated from college, I'm like, okay, I got a college degree. I went to UNF, and I'm like, all right, what now? And I'm like, okay, well, they're hiring mortgage people. So I showed up, and they're like, what do you know about mortgages? I'm like, it has 2 G's. And then I just figured it out. And then at this point, I've been the same way my whole life, like just full gear. Like I was like, okay, I want to be the best loan processor. So boom. Closed a bunch of loans. And then I went from processing. I'm like, well, what do those guys over there in that building do? And they're like, oh, those are the sales guys. You're over here in the loan processing side. I'm like, no, I want to be over there on that side. And they're like, well, you can't do that. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to be the best salesperson when I get over there. So I went over there, and then boom, best salesperson on the team right over there. So I just that mentality I think that I have, that I always want to be the best.
When you are in your meetings, whether it's at coffee or a lunch or in a continuing ed class, what strikes you about your conversations with people that you are in front of? What approach do you try to take to make them say, Ryan's the guy I want to work with?
Yeah. I don't talk about mortgages. I don't talk about mortgages at all when I sit down with them. I try to get to know them, who the person they are, what are their interests, what do they like. I do a lot of research before I meet with them, so I go through kind of their social media, do some creeping, and see kind of what they're into, what they like, if they have kids, what they're relatable with, what their favorite teams are, where they're from, how they got into the business. So I ask them a lot of questions like, how did you get into the business as a realtor? And that opens the can up, because everyone that meets with those coffee people, they sit down, they go, we can close in 13 days. We got the best rates. I'm always available 24/7. Give me a call. Here's my phone. Everyone has the same sales pitch. So I don't even actually talk about that at all. I just sit down and talk to them as a normal person.
And what kind of reaction do you get? Because I'm sure there are some realtors you've encountered who sit down with other LOs and they just come out of the gates hot and just start talking about the things you just mentioned.
Yep.
Speed, service, rates, are they a little bit taken aback by the fact that you're not even touching on those things?
I think they love it because it's a different conversation. Like they go there with the mindset like he's going to tell me how great he is. He's going to want to show me all these Google reviews. He's going to tell me how many loans he closed. He's going to blah, blah, blah. No one wants to hear you talk about yourself or talk about mortgages. No one even likes mortgages, right? They like the house they buy. They like where they live in. They like how they're way to take care of their family and where they're going to grow up and where they're going to be their investments or whatever their purchase plan is. But they don't want the mortgage. No one wants mortgages.
So one of the places you go, one of the many places you go is to your closings. And it's interesting you mentioned this, that you talk to other top producers, and one of them was kind of reflecting back on his career.
Yeah.
And he said to you, I wish I had gone to all my closings like you do, Ryan.
I know.
What's the strategy behind that?
It's the celebration. I mean, we work so hard. We get him to the closing line. It's a big moment. I mean, that's the celebration. This is what you worked for. Like, why would you not go to the closing? Like, when I ask people, like, why do you go to all your closings? I'm like, why would you not go to your closings? Like, this is like the important day of their life. This is the biggest transaction they're going to do. You made financing an American dream for them. Like, you got to show up. And I use the saying, too, when we used UWM there, we go from Insta-fun to Instagram right off the bat. So you can put that on a T-shirt.
You got all the sayings, man. I mean, I know you said you're a people person, but it also seems like you got that marketing gene as well.
I guess, yeah. I don't really consider myself as a marketer. People ask me all the time, like, who runs my social media? I'm like, I do. I just post stuff, and you just got to do it every day. That's what I tell them. But yeah, it's fun, man. I love it going to the closings, like you said, and I love coming up with catchy sayings and hashtags and creating your own hashtags. Like, this job's hard enough and stressful, man. Try to make it fun. Like, just be yourself. People love it, and they can relate to you, and you don't have to be like, oh, I look funny on camera. Like, I was shooting a realtor video with one of the realtors are here, and he's like, I look funny on camera. I'm like, no one's even looking at you, dude. He's like, I stutter too much. I'm like, no one's even listening to you. Just get out there and do it and put it out there, and you'll be successful.
At what point did you get comfortable enough to feel that way with your videos? Because I was looking at your Instagram, and you said that's been a major area of focus for you over the last couple of years. How did it get to that point? What made it click for you?
Just doing it over and over and over again. Repetition. I look at it as another here one for you saying is, visibility, right, equals credibility, which equals profitability. So that's another one I like. And the more you're visible and the more you're on video and the more people can relate to you, then that's going to give you more credibility, because there's a lot of top producing realtors that I've been calling on for a long time, and they don't give me the time of the day. They don't answer the phone. But you know what? They'll comment on my post and they'll like me, and I know that one day they're going to say, hey, when the opportunity comes up, I'm going to use Proffitt.
We're going to have to start coining these Proffitisms or something, because you're just dropping so many gems here. It's great. Let's talk about the follow-up game, because your AE Steve Anderson, he's been in the business a long time as well, and he said that your follow-up game is one of the best he has ever seen any mortgage broker client he has ever worked with.
Yeah.
So walk us through your process with the follow-up.
Is he talking about follow-up with him when I ask him to do something? And
that I can't say. I think he's talking about your follow-up with the client. I think.
No, it's important, man. Follow up. We talk about it all the time, because when you go to these networking events and you go to these meetings and you go to these closings and you go to these things, that's like a good stepping stone, but that's not going to get the deal done. And if you don't follow up, then they're not going to follow through. So I got to make sure I'm following up, and I put everything on the calendar. Like, boom, put it on the calendar. It pops up. Okay, I need to send them a text. Okay, I need to send them a call. Okay, I need to follow up on an email, and just put it on there. And then I just try to follow up with them on all forms of fashion that they can get. So if they like me on LinkedIn, I'll follow up with them on LinkedIn. If they like me on Facebook, and I'll send them a Facebook Messenger. Just depending on wherever they came over, I try to mirror whatever their communication was as well.
In a way, it sounds like, Ryan, all of the time and effort you put into the face-to-face interactions, the different places that you go, the people you meet with, it seems like if you don't follow up on all of those interactions, you're kind of wasting some of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect. This is exactly the way I look at it, because it's good to go and talk to somebody and have a great conversation like I'm doing with you. We sit down here, but then you're going to forget about me, right? It's not like I'm that great. You're going to remember me for the rest of your life. Like, you're going to probably do another show with someone else on here. But I'm going to follow with you and find out when I'm coming back on. So you better be looking for that.
We'll look forward to that. Looking at the landscape of the industry, and we talked about the last couple of years, now you've leaned into social and what a wild ride it's been for everybody. Now I want you to look forward for us and tell us, what do you think are going to be the activities for people in this business that help them achieve success moving forward?
Yeah, I think the QR codes are going to be huge. So right now I'm doing a bunch of QR codes. So you scan the QR code and it pops my face up and I'm like, hey, thanks for clicking on this. This is Ryan Proffitt, Future Home Loans. Like a QR video we're sending out. We're just trying to adapt with the times. Like everyone's so used to being on their phones and having that instant access. So we're just trying to make sure it's easy for everyone as well.
So QR code that actually brings your face up and,
Yep.
and a video plays
And
of
a
you?
video plays of me. Yep, and it kind of walks them through if they want to do the loan application, and then we're going to do a couple QR codes that we're going to do for a couple of our marketing things that we're going to send out, and it'll help them kind of track them where they came from. We're in the people business, so we got to try to get in front of as many people as we can.
Well, there's so much optimism for 2024 with everybody in the business, and hopefully we get to the point where a lot of people are growing, and then they get to the point where they have to make a decision, and that decision is it the right time to bring on help? Do I hire an LOA? Do I bring on a business development specialist? And this is something that you've dealt with yourself. So how do you navigate that process?
Still
Ryan?
dealing with it.
You're going through it now. So tell us your thoughts. What are you thinking?
Dealing with it. It's you can't do it all yourself. I mean, we've talked about it here, and as much as I work from in the morning to the end, like I can't do it all myself. I mean, I'm sitting here at UWM today. I'm here with you. I've already had 3 people apply. Like I haven't looked at one of those applications yet. So I got to have somebody that's running the systems for me. So I had to bring on an LOA, and they're basically helping me get through those applications. They're helping requesting docs, and then I couldn't be at 3 places at one time. So I had to bring on a business development person, and I brought her on as well because there's some things I can't go to. I want to go to the Women's Council of Realtors. You know what? They won't let me in. So I brought her on. So Jen does a great job going there as well. There's certain other things. I want to go to the Ladies on the Vine, where they go and drink wine and hang out. They won't let me go to that either. So I brought her on. So she's doing a great job of kind of going to things that I couldn't go to or I wasn't invited to. And then that kind of helped our business grow as well. But as far as like the structure and making everyone happy and all that stuff, it's a constant tweaking. Like, okay, that worked, that didn't work. This worked, that didn't work. Okay, you don't like that, we won't do that again. Sorry. Okay, oh, you do like that. Okay, well, let's see if we can do that. So it's just having open communication about it every day.
Was there an aha moment though, beyond not being allowed into the ladies' events? Was there a moment where you knew that okay, it's time? I've done this myself for a long time, but I think I'm now at the point where I do actually need to get some help.
It was, yeah. I think I was at the point where I left the office at like midnight and went home. And I was like, why am I at the office at midnight? And I got here at 7 a.m. So I got there, it was dark, and I left, and it was already that's the same day. And I was still putting in applications, still uploading docs, still sending disclosures. And I'm like, there's got to be an easier way. Like, I have to bring on somebody. And then there's economies of scale, right? So the more I can get out and more business I can drive in, more loans we can close. So we went from closing a certain number to almost doubling it instantly because I'm out in front of more people, getting more people to apply, and then they're behind the scenes getting the loans closed.
Man, it's impressive to see what you've been able to do, and you certainly are deserving of all of the great things that have come your way because you're putting in the work, man. So Continued success to you, and thanks for joining us, Ryan Proffitt from Future Home Loans.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for watching Good Better Broker and helping us support independent mortgage brokers everywhere. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to be notified about new videos, as well as your preferred podcast platform for a new episode every other Tuesday.